So, everybody, I'm Dr. Jen, and this is Dr. Yvonne, and this is called Eat Your Damn Food. And it is so exciting because we hit a milestone this week, Dr. Yvonne, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Woo! So, I'd love for you to share with people about what this big milestone was for us and how you're feeling about it.
Very excited. We've completely finished the first half of our book. We have most of the book written, but we got it ready to give to our editor. So this is a really big deal because it has crossed all the T's. We handed over our baby, and now it's off to editing. At least the first half of the book. So it was just incredible. And she informed us that I think what did she say? Only 15% of people who start writing a book get to that point. So
Mhm.
it just felt like a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, I have goosebumps right now. And Dr. Vaughn, you did so much work in terms of making sure we hit that deadline and we shaped it as much as we could. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you, Dr. Vaughn, because like mostly it's been work, but mostly it's been this beautiful, fun, creative journey. And I'm gonna have you summarize in a few sentences, like, what is this first half of the book about? Like, if you were just gonna put it in a few sentences, and what does that mean? Eat your damn food. Can you tell people from your perspective, what do you think this book is about? Because, I think this book in some ways has written us. Like what we started off with kind of like has changed a little bit, and I think even surprised us.
Yeah, so the first half of the book is really describing food and body struggles. It's we've come up with a term called the diet matrix, and the first half is really talking through how food and body struggles, how they start, how they can get bigger, how they affect our lives, and just so people can maybe see themselves. And we include personal stories and we include client stories. So it's a read that is not just like an information. Like we say, we don't want you to just read it, maybe highlight a few things and move on. It is something we want you like to live it, to like really live it through our eyes, through other people's eyes who may be going through similar experiences. And then through the words of wisdom that we have from all of our years working in this field. So I'm just wondering if you want to describe what we mean by diet matrix, because it is like an interesting term.
Yeah, and we came up with this terminology. It didn't come from anywhere, but as we were starting to think about how many clients come into our offices which with such a similar story. I mean, it's not every single person's story, and also by the way, the stories we include are really like a compilation because of course we want to protect everybody's confidentiality, so we've really been so mindful of that. But the story that we hear from most of our clients, right? It's like they were trying to get healthy or they were trying to lose a few pounds, right? And they started a diet. And so we kind of talk about this idea, right, of like when people start kind of like this dieting that so many of us, food struggles, no food struggles, diagnosable eating disorder, or not, who doesn't know about dieting if you're in our culture?
Absolutely.
So for some people, they can start the diet, they stop the diet, maybe they lose a few pounds, maybe they gain it all back and okay, no big deal, and they move on. But for other people, this really starts them in this really dangerous matrix, right? And so it really does come from kind of that movie. That's what sort of popped into my head. And then we started talking it out to come up with this. But, that idea in the movie, The Matrix, where they're like the red pill or the blue pill, and you kind of choose. And sometimes we're so plugged into something, if you haven't seen this movie, but so many people have, you're in this matrix and you don't even know you're part of this whole thing, right? And so what we're really asking people to do is to choose another way, to really see that they're in this like context, this paradigm that is not serving them. It's not serving all of us, right? And some people really go down the rabbit hole, so to speak. They talk about that in the movie as well. And then we're offering this other way of eating, living, being more conscious with ourselves. So, anything you want to add to that, Dr. Vaughn?
I was just thinking what you were saying, like it's so pervasive. It's a lot of people grow up with parents that this is the way they think, like a more diet-centric, weight-centric way. And then they go to school and they're around friends that are thinking that way. And then, of course, now with the, social media, TikTok, Instagram, the information that's out there is also very much that way. So it's really easy actually for someone to think that's just a way it's supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing. And that's what we're trying to like say. It's like, no, 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 you're in this diet matrix and there is another way. And we actually even coin certain terms of kind of what food plays, like the role that food plays. So we call food the life force because it is literally what gives us life and grounding, and seeing that view of food in a good light, right? Because I feel like that whole diet matrix sees it as, be very cautious. You're one bite away from disease and from this and from that. Like it's all these really negative messages that create almost like you're gonna like step on a bomb or something. The more like as you're walking through, you're figuring out your food. So we really try to show a different side of food, and then we also really introduce this concept of conscious living. I don't know if you want to describe that because I know you do that so well, what conscious living means.
Well, I think it's just starting to have an awareness, right? And what I always say to people is like, this journey never ends, right? As human beings, like our relationship with food, our relationship with body, our relationship with our awareness and growing our own consciousness, like that is a never ending journey, right? Like Dr. Vaughn, we're on this journey, just like the clients we work with and their families, our whole team, like we're always working on our consciousness. And I think this idea of sometimes when we're in this matrix, we're kind of operating out of being unconscious. Like we're kind of just doing these things, thinking it's going to solve something, right? It's going to make us happy. It's going to make us healthy. And sometimes it has, a lot of times it has the exact opposite effect. And so that's sort of then the second part of the book, right? The first part of the book is more like trying to understand this matrix, and then the second part that we're now getting more into is going to be teaching more these conscious practices and ways of thinking and being with ourselves. And what I will say though is sometimes this way does feel like swimming upstream because it's not the thing you're always going to hear. And the other thing I just want to kind of say one other thing when you were saying in parents, like I always feel so lucky that I had this amazing mom, right? Like, I mean, anybody who knew my mom was just like, they like loved my mom. That's what we would say. They like love my mom.
Mama Rose.
Mama Rose, even Dr. Yvonne knows Mama Rose, right? Like one of my friends from graduate school, who lives in the UAE, she would call her Mama Rose, and that sort of like, she had a lot of nicknames. But my dear mom, like she was always dieting, like, and it was just like what she did, like dieting and then sometimes eating potato chips late at night. Like that was the other on this orange sofa. Ugly. Like maybe back then it was cool, but like, and I'm sort of laughing about it, but it was like, she was just sort of, yeah, it was like Weight Watchers was big. And it was like, yeah, that's just what you do. Like, it was just almost what you do. And, I like look back and I'm like, it like kind of breaks my heart for her. I know you have some things similar with your mom too. Like we've had a lot of talks about some of these stories growing up, right?
And we do share a lot of that in the book,
Yeah, we do.
of kind of how we experienced it. And I think something else that you said is kind of like it's just always around us in a sense. Even we even share stories as like not that long ago for ourselves, how the diet matrix has wanted to like swoop us back in some way and somehow, right? Like through different interactions with some medical professionals and things like that. So it is something that we understand, and that has been, I think, such an eye-opening experience of kind of like that's what this book like was meant to be, as part of it. It's not all of it. It's not our memoir. It is, but we've really included a lot of personal stories
Mm,
about ourselves, and we were just talking about how that had to like almost come out first for the rest of it all to flow. So I'm
And it
excited for
surprised
people to
us.
read it and a little nervous at the same time.
Yeah, because I think it surprised us. We weren't thinking, oh, Dr. Vaughn and Dr. Jen are going to share some of their own personal like histories and experiences and what this was like. But I do think it's made the book very personal and sometimes vulnerable, right? Like it feels a little safer right now because it's there, but it's not out there yet.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a rich part of of our book. And so we're excited. We hope those of you listening will read the book and give feedback. We are almost done with the cover. So I think we will have a cover reveal probably fairly soon, but I'm really loving our cover. We're not going to say much more about that, but anything you want to say about the cover?
I think it represents the book. It represents kind of how it's taken a lot of tweaks, right? Like but it represents what we're wanting to put out there as far as like it just is a picture that kind of brings out what we're writing about. So yeah, I think it'll be cool.
Very present to Dr. Vaughn. Like, oh, I'm gonna get emotional, but I remember all those years ago, like all those years ago, when I was searching for a nutritionist to join this vision of something I had in my head, but I didn't even know what it was that was being created. And I remember the coaching I got was just meditate on it and just see who comes up. And who came up all those years ago was you. And I didn't even know you that well. I was like, what the hell's this? Like, I don't know her that well yet. We just had started working together a little bit. And I think what I'm present to is like I had no idea like how that then we were gonna write a book, like I didn't know how all this was gonna go, but I
Yes.
just noticing, like, listening to the guidance that we get and, that something bigger than us knew to bring us together.
Well, that was a very lucky vision you had for me as well. So.
Awesome.